There was an explosion today.
Today is April 3rd, 2017. It's a Monday.
Exactly. I believe at 2:40 Russian time, a bomb went off on the metro, and I wrote down, hang on my list, which metro it left from. What was interesting about it is that actually the train kept going to the next stop.
Instead of just stopping.
It was the Sennaya Square, and it was, somebody said it was the front carriage, and somebody said it was the third carriage, the Sennaya Square, and it didn't immediately stop. At first report, 10 are confirmed dead. There might be more dead. And at first
there was 50, but now they've lowered it
to
down
20, to the 25.
And the subway workers were pulling out the victims.
Petersburg, explosion. I'm shaken because of fear. If my best friend leaves university 30 minutes earlier, she could die.
Let's now cross live to our correspondent Peter Oliver for more. Peter, what's been the reaction in Europe to this attack so far?
Can you scroll Peter up anywhere?
Well, the reaction here has been universally dismay and condolence to those people that have been caught up in this hideous attack, this hideous incident that's taken place in St. Petersburg. From here in Berlin, where I'm talking to you from, we've heard from Sigmar Gabriel, the foreign minister of Germany. He said he was dismayed that this was a crime that could not be justified. The French foreign minister, Jean-Marc Ayrault, has also said that he stood in solidarity with the Russian people, while we've also heard from the European Union. They put forward a statement saying that they condemned in the strongest possible way all acts of violence. We've also heard from Federica Mogherini, who's the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, and the British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. We can listen to them now.
Horrified by news of explosion in St. Petersburg, my sympathies are with the victims and their families.
Following the news coming from St. Petersburg, together with all EU foreign ministers, our thoughts are with all people of Russia.
Well, the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe said that he was devastated. We've also heard from Thorbjørn Jagland, who's the Secretary General of the Council of Europe, saying that he was deeply shocked and saddened, and those type of words have been followed up by the head of the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, Lamberto Sennaya, who said that he sent his deepest condolences to all of those that have been involved in this terror attack. Of course, here in Europe we have seen incidents take place in Berlin, in Brussels, in Paris, in London, in Nice. We have become somewhat used to these type of major terrorist attacks. Of course, this hasn't been claimed by anybody yet, and we shouldn't be speculating, but at the moment it does seem that St. Petersburg can be added to that list of cities across Europe, the wider Europe anyway, that have suffered at the hands of tragedy in recent times.
Scroll it down, there you go.
And we can give you what we know so far. Russian Vladimir Putin has come out to say that it is possible terror. They're not ruling it out. Nobody wants to jump to speculations, but what they do know is that there were 2 bombs.
And one was diffused.
And they were homemade bombs.
Right.
One was found at another metro station, but for some reason it did not go off, whether it wasn't tripped at the right time,
right.
But it could have been another even larger or smaller, but it could have caused the same amount of damage or more.
The thing that gets me is that they are so slow to call it terror, because at first you hear there was an explosion,
right,
in the metro. Explosion could be a crash. You know what I mean? And gasoline, I don't know how these things run or whatever. Anything can cause an explosion.
Right.
But the fact that they are homemade bombs means that somebody had an intent to kill innocent people. That is categorized as terror.
It was made with shrapnel. Somebody said nails. And I was tipped off by Paul Joseph Watson and Twitter, where he put up the screenshot of Al Jazeera in Arabic, and there are smiley faces, laughs, and thumbs up. So I wanted to see for myself what is going on. What is the reaction in the Arabic community, in the Muslim community? Not everyone condone this act. There were sympathies for Russia. But if you go to their Facebook page, Al Jazeera, I believe it's not that one, it's that one, okay. I started to Google Translate them, and I saw many Allah Akbars. Many God is great.
God is great. May God increase and bless. God willing, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the rest.
To hell and good riddance.
Go ahead, keep going. There, a thumbs up with brass knuckles. Another kind of hefty guy saying yes.
Excellent.
Excellent.
May God increase our dead. Thank God. Thank you, God. And it just kept going on and on and on. When you look at some of them, there's
hopefully many dead.
It is so twisted.
A puppy dog giving a thumbs up.
That they would use these thumbs up, and I think that is, of course, the angle that we have to bring this to you from.
Yeah.
Because we are at war with radical, I'm going to call fundamentalist Islam. Good Muslims in their terms. Okay?
Right.
There are hundreds of these people on here so far. Maybe, I don't know how many likes and comments there are hearts.
Okay, so there's been 1,000 reactions, but we don't know what those...
How many comments there are. There are somebody who are angry.
People.
But there are many laughs. Ha 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 ha. Now, what was interesting is that Al Jazeera came out...
Okay, so there are 1,100 likes. And then several plus 14 more laughing. And there are only 8 people that are angry about it. 8 out of over 1,000 responses.
And we don't even know what their anger is. Like could be either, oh, you put it up, okay, right? So we don't know what a like is. We don't. Because some people don't like it. I mean, we don't know what a like is, but they could go either way. Obviously, the laughing. What was interesting is that on the March 23rd, 22nd live stream, it said March 23rd when I brought up the Al Jazeera, in the Google thing, it said, oh, we had a miscommunication with our emojis. People weren't laughing at that. They were just saying, oh, yay, thank you for your coverage. No, not when you read the comments. And it's very interesting that Facebook hasn't gone through and filtered it, because they don't seem to really care that we see it. Or maybe enough English-speaking people aren't reading their comments, aren't looking at the Google Translate. You'd think that they would come up a way to cover their tracks, but they don't. When you look at the translation, some of them I can't understand. So we want to go back to, let's see. This is kind of a live coverage, so stick with us. I have some different articles brought up. This poor woman's whole coat was...
well, yeah, when you're using shrapnel in part of your bomb.
So I'm going to read through the timeline that is on RT. A self-made explosive device has been diffused at another Petersburg Metro area. The Ploshchad Vostania, Russia's National Anti-Terrorism Committee said, oh, that was the other thing I wanted to bring to you guys. While I was listening to RT, they had, I don't know how to frame this in the right way, because I feel like they are the victims of a huge campaign. And they were talking back and forth. One of them was speaking to a former British MI5 agent, and they were asking her, so do you think that this might soften the relations between the West and Europe and Russia? And she said that she hopes so, that she would like to see that happen. And you can see from the commentators, do you think we will see? And they're humble. I can't explain it. Is there a better way to explain it?
No.
These newscasters are humble, and it's
on RT.
On RT. I do believe that they've been painted in such a bad in a bad picture. I mean, Russia has come out of communism. We were there in 95 as they just came out of communism. And the Russian people, the people are so kind.
Yes.
They're so generous. They were loving and caring and very welcoming of us. And when I see the Russian people on TV, when I see them on their YouTube channels,
Right.
when I was going to put together a whole Russian farming thing. When you speak to Russian farmers, these are everyday people. These are not terrorists, you guys.
And we
These
were
are-
able to interact with a lot of the everyday people. I mean, we went into the markets and we went into the, they kind of have this amazing craftsman type market where they make some of the most amazing wood carved, the nesting dolls, chess sets. I mean, you name it, they make it, and they are happy to wheel and deal with. I think I was probably 10 or 11 at the time, and I would go up to these tables and I can't even speak Russian and they're willing to haggle, with a 10-year-old girl and give her, and I remember feeling like I was just getting the best deal I could with my little rubles, but the point is that they are the salt of the earth type people, and they are very humble.
salt of the earth, meaning they love the earth.
Yeah.
Like they are, it's in their
They work with
blood
their hands.
to want to work with their hands and to want to
Yeah.
work. And so when you see the communism spirit, the idea was, behind it was, we want to have equality, but it was done so in a way that was totalitarian, and the communist mindset of how you do it politically is so twisted and so evil. But the people, the reason they got rushed in with it, much like the German people, because not all Germans were Nazi evil.
Well, right. Yeah. Correct.
People. And why are we studying this? Why are we talking about this? Because the Russian people don't deserve to be demonized the way the West has demonized them.
No.
They're not terrorists. Russia is not going in and blowing people up. Now, you do have some grinding of the gears, I would say,
Right.
amongst their neighbors. The Ukraine and Crimea, you have different takes. Those are political takes on the Ukraine, on Crimea, and when you see Russia embracing in individual freedoms and liberty in the best ways that they can.
Right.
We saw a Russian man who was on Alex Jones. He says, listen, you guys, we're trying to be a Christian country. We're trying to be moral. Give us a break.
And there's no break, but I wanted to get back to this story because what you were about to say, it really hit me too when they were talking about it, was, do you think that we're going to see, people's Facebook pictures changing with Russian colors,
Do you think
and
the
the
Eiffel
Eiffel
Tower
Tower will light
will
up with Russian colors?
Right.
And they were kind of like, no, probably not. And I was sitting on the couch and I said to Leah, I said, no, nobody's going to be putting, hashtag stand with Russia, because then all of a sudden they're colluding with the Trump campaign to conspire against the entire world. You can't stand with Russia. It's not done.
If you saw me giggle in the beginning when we were listening to RT, I laughed only because I was like, I need to check Donald Trump's Twitter to see if he tweeted out, I stand with Russia, or I know that he's probably contacted, but can he? Can he contact Vladimir Putin? Can there? Because now, with things like this, the left and the progressives have made it so politicized that now if you contact Russia, if Donald Trump contacts Putin, they will spin it. We have seen them do it in such a way. And this is these are real people, you guys.
I know that
they had a real terrorist attack. These are real good people.
It's not a conspiracy theory, it's the truth, but I want to throw you a conspiracy theory that I have rolling around in my head on this, is that I do not put it past the globalists and the global agenda to actually make this happen, just to throw that spin in there. Well, how is Trump going to respond? This will force Trump to talk to Russia so that we can keep talking about Russia, because there is no connection with Trump and Russia. And like Spicer said in that press conference that we showed yesterday, he's so sick of being asked the Trump-Russia question, but now there's new fodder that we can talk about Russia for weeks and months on end now, because this has happened. And I feel like that this really did happen just so they can keep Russia in the limelight. And that shows just how sick and twisted they are to kill people and to terrorize people just so they can keep this ball rolling. I really believe, honestly, that's Michelle's take on it. I'm telling you. I know that that's what they did. They did this on purpose. The globalists are in collusion with the Muslims, not Islam, whatever, radical terror. Not all Muslims, you get it, but you know what I mean. They are, and so I'm just saying this is not a coincidence that it's with Russia. They don't want the Russia deal to die.
Well, recognize that our people in America, Obama, Hillary Clinton, they funded ISIS. And so the very first theory and the best theory is that this is a Syrian ISIS member. That's the going theory right now, and that's probably the best theory.
Honestly, I don't care who did the act. I don't care if it was some Joe that owns a coffee shop that has nothing to do with radical Islamic terrorists. I'm telling you, because the globalists are tied to ISIS, they're tied to terrorism, they did this because they don't want the Russia thing to die. It probably is the Syrian ISIS members that did this. I'm not disagreeing with you there at all. I'm just saying it doesn't even matter. It still is the globalist agenda to keep Russia in the limelight. And they're willing to kill people to do it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the liberals will definitely come out. They will give their condolences. But I don't know. I would hope that with something like this, that it would cause a huge turn, a turn towards Russia, and that our country would be forced to turn to Russia, and that the leftists would be forced to shut up, stop with the rump, that's the rump, okay, the Trump-Russia connection. Stop with the Trump-Russia connection. Stop right now. They are facing the same Islamic terrorists that we are, and we need to band together. I have already tweeted out, I stand with Russia. I want to go back to the live RT here.
We think everybody's careful, but we think it's a terrorist attack linked to the efficiency of the war led by Russia in Syria for the moment against the Islamic State and other factions, Islamic factions. They are efficient and so they are targeted. It's a sort of revenge of the IS, which has difficulties for the moment, and everybody is afraid of seeing the returnees coming back to Western Europe and also, of course, to the ex-Soviet republics and also to cities like Moscow or St. Petersburg. So it's very probably linked
this is where it actually happened.
ISIS and to Syria.
And this is, I think,
also,
the one that was diffused.
Now the Chechen rebels of 15 years ago are in cahoots with the ISIS fighters or jihadists. And so, we don't know, but it's very, very probably an Islamic attack.
Duh.
Well, what about the security effort? Again, I'd like to get your opinion because we're getting a variety of thoughts here today. And, at the moment, we, those of us who live in big cities, live in a state of high alert. Look at what earlier happened in London and Germany and France. Shouldn't there be a broader, perhaps, cooperation between security services? Some of the experts are saying that it is highly unlikely for a number of reasons. Some are mentioning the Russia factor, that the security services are sort of reluctant to cooperate more openly with Russia on intelligence issues and security issues. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I don't believe so. We don't have direct information about that except comments from specialist experts in security at international level. But I think the cooperation, on this front at least, is the best it can be. The problem, of course, is that over the last few years, our police services were not very well informed about Islamists. They didn't have enough translators, people who could speak the languages that these people speak. And so it's only over, let's say, the last 2 years that they have developed a better efficiency at identifying them and seeing who they are. And of course, it's terrible to see that there are thousands in every European state. So I think the collaboration with Russia on this front at least must be good. But of course, who am I to say anything special on that?
And Luke, Daniel Hawkins here in the studio alongside Marina. What sort of response do you expect from the Russian authorities? We've already seen a tightening of security immediately on public transport, not only in St. Petersburg, but also nationwide. Do you expect any other changes, domestic, foreign policy, etc., and as a result of this incident?
Very briefly, if you could, sir.
Yes, the British Foreign Office has warned that other attacks were possible, and it's normal, of course, that in Moscow and other places the security is tightened. That's absolutely normal, but it's very difficult to stop them.
Look with that, editor-in-chief of Le Peuple magazine. Thanks so much for talking to us.
And just to bring those viewers up to date, just joining us here on RT International, the top news today, obviously that tragic incident in St. Petersburg, Russia's northern capital, has been struck by an explosion in the underground. So far, confirmation, 10 people have been killed, with over 20 injured. Many of them in a critical condition have been taken to hospital. Actually, 37 injured now. Those figures keep coming in. Those casualties keep being updated.
37 injured.
One of them, a child. No confirmation yet that any were foreigners, perhaps visiting, working in St. Petersburg, but once we get news, we'll bring that to you as soon as possible. The entire transit system has been shut down. Bomb squads and rescuers are responding on the scene to that emergency. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the cause of the incident hasn't been officially determined yet, but of course terrorism is among the theories. As we said, all metro stations have been closed to passengers. Commuters were evacuated within an hour from the subway train of those reports coming in. Russia's National Anti-Terror Committee has also said it found a
when I was listening to the report before, they had to smash windows to get out, and they had to drag dead bodies out through smashed windows.
Because they couldn't get them out the doors.
Because they couldn't get them out the doors. So that was another piece there.
Sennaya Square Metro station. I was underground at the neighbouring station, was heading towards the place where the incident took place. Metro workers asked everyone to leave and we headed for the surface. I saw a lot of ambulances and rescue services and even a helicopter, but now the ambulances have left.
We are still waiting, of course, for official confirmation, official statement as to whether that was a terror attack or not. But given the hallmarks, given this news coming in, the representative of Russia's Anti-Terror Committee has confirmed, as we said just now, there was another explosive device found just 2 stations away from the site of the blast. Here's what they had to say.
An improvised explosive device was found and diffused at Sennaya Square station, thanks to the steps taken by law enforcement.
All right, we can now cross to our correspondent Emily Sue, who is keeping her fingers firmly on the pulse of the situation. So, Emily, what have you got for us this hour? What updates do you have?
Marina, I just wanted to give you more details about this second unexploded device that the National Anti-Terrorism Committee, in the soundbite we heard just there, has confirmed that they have found in a station near the Sennaya Square station where the original explosion took place. Now, we know the second unexploded device was found in a station just 2 stops away from the Sennaya Square station. We know that the bomb squad has been sent in to defuse the device, so the risk has been eliminated. But perhaps this development speaks to earlier unconfirmed reports suggesting that there have been 2 explosions in the St. Petersburg Metro today. But the latest we have is a second unexploded device, and that has been defused. Now, the first explosion, the original explosion that we have been covering happened at about 2:40 local time at the Sennaya Square station as the train was leaving Sennaya Square station towards the Technological Institute station on the dark blue line. We understand that from the latest statement from the Russian health minister, 47 people have been affected, 10 of them dead, and 37 have been injured. At least
and that's
6.
the latest. But I was wondering if you couldn't pull up Twitter, if you want me to pause it,
Twitter
and see if Trump has said anything.
Oh, well, let's see. We can probably just put in, if you want to know what Donald Trump has to say, real Donald Trump. See if he says. No, he hasn't tweeted anything.
And you know what? And I was really interested to see if he had. And this to me confirms that when Trump does tweet, it's actually not a flying off the handle type thing. He is very deliberate, and I think he's taking his time to make sure, because Russia is such a hot topic right now that anything that he says can and will be used against him. It just will be used against him, and so I think he's taking his time. He's probably trying to figure out how can he communicate with Vladimir Putin without somebody saying, I mean, there's probably a lot of people sitting down scrambling, and what is so unfortunate about that is that as the President of the United States, he can't just go with what his gut says. I want to send my condolences, or I want to do this or do that. He has to think, how is this going to be twisted, and how is it going to be spun?
Well, because especially from the beginning of the campaign, Hillary wanted to paint Russia. Russia was the enemy.
Exactly.
Russia, and as they said on RT, Russia has been painted with the same brush as ISIS and Islamic radical terror,
which boggles my mind. I can't comprehend that.
You can't do that, and it is such a disservice to the world in general for our leftist leaders to do that. But we have to recognize and see this for what it is. It is a global agenda, and you know that you've got Maxine Waters and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. They're going to they do not feel in their
little smiley faces up about this.
Right,
they would. Every single one of them is cheering that this has happened.
They want to go to war with Russia. They want war with Russia. When Hillary Clinton was in her debates with Donald Trump, we all sat there and said, did you just threaten nuclear war with Russia, lady?
Yeah.
She said, I just want Vladimir Putin to know what our nuclear response time is, because we might take that as an action. I mean, you know what I mean?
I love that she was giving out the nuclear response
But it
time.
was a threat, and she was trying to present herself as presidential, because what they wanted to do was present Hillary Clinton as presidential, like she's going to be strong against an enemy. But she cannot be strong against radical Islamic terror.
Because she's in
the real enemy that our globe faces right now, that our whole world faces.
Yes.
She can't be strong against him. So in order to be a leader, you need some sort of enemy. In order to be a Hillary Clinton type leader, you need an enemy.
And so she created
Russia, Trump as the enemy.
Even though she could have gone with China, because that's an actual enemy and threat. But there again, I think she's also in bed with the Chinese and with North Koreans, because they all have the same, agenda.
Right.
There have been some warnings by Daesh and Islamist groups against Russia in recent days. So
Russian security services have previously said they had foiled terrorist attacks on Moscow's public transport system by militants, some of whom were trained by Islamic State jihadists in Syria.
And she said that there have been some foiled
in Moscow
metro attacks in Moscow. So I mean, you can put two and two together,
right,
and see that this is probably definitely a terrorist attack.
And like Leah and I always say, you have to look at the foiled attacks with every bit of seriousness as the ones that actually get through. And we don't. It's just so easy for us to go, oh, well, it didn't happen, so whatever.
Right.
These people, they don't give up.
Right.
Do you understand that? They don't stop. Just because you foil one attack, it's like you cut off the head of the snake and 10 more come up.
Right.
You stop one, and then it actually makes more of them more even fervent to try to make it happen somewhere else.
The diffused bomb in a bag left at the station. So here's some pictures of it.
Right there. And there was the bag right there.
Oh, wow.
It looks very unassuming. From now on, if you see an empty bag, run.
Right.
We're running out of power anyway, so.
Crazy. There's the bomb in the bag.
All right, you guys, this is Leah Michelle. We're going to go ahead and sign off here, just so that this video is not extremely long. Like I said, we'll bring back more. We'll just leave our setup today. So like, comment, subscribe, share this on your social media pages. We want to hear what you have to say, what you think about it, and continue to come back later. Probably this evening is when we'll have something else for an update.
If you're in Russia, we stand with you. We pray with you. Our hearts are going out with you, and we hopefully one day we will see an end to these things, and we wouldn't have to keep bringing you live updates of craziness.
This is insane. All right, we love you guys. God bless, and stand with Russia. You have to. I mean, you can't just, you know, we're all fighting the same common enemy.
Right.
I was cold.